Hey y'all, this video is going to be about how handlers can potentially kind of clog lanes and take away throwing options just by their positioning. So I'm going to let this clip play through, polls coming down, and then we can discuss. Alright, so obviously in this point we're playing vertical stack, but the same thing applies to horizontal stack as we'll sort of talk about later. But basically I'll walk through and kind of show each example of what I think is potentially being in our own way. So we're going to set in the pass Nilos. Hobbs is immediately going to kind of like push upfield a little bit. And if you imagine Nilos has like, two different break lanes he can throw through the inside break lane or sort of this around break lane. And because of Hobbs' positioning kind of like directly horizontal of Nilos on the break side in particular, makes it so that wheels can be in the way essentially of Nilos throwing around. So I think in this situation, it'd probably be better off if we either went, back here. That's not an arrow. Went back here, came back here, set up back here. Basically anywhere other than up here in the break side lane that we're sort of trying to attack as a team. I'm going to let the point continue on because it sort of was a trend during this specific point. So we center it up. Hobbs sort of gets back to the same spot. And you can imagine Nilos can throw sort of that inside lane pretty well, but would have a hard time sort of throwing like a floaty around like that with our spacing the way that it's set up. And then once Hobbs does have the disc, there's really kind of no break side lane at all for Hobbs to attack. A good example would be this player here. I still don't know your name, and I'm so sorry about it. The person in the red shirt is like, has a lot of separation here from Q, and it'd be great if they could just stop and have Hobbs throw the disc to them over here. But we're in our own way, right? Nilos is sort of in the way up here, again, kind of like pushed way up and horizontal to Hobbs. And then Al is sort of in the way too, like this vert stack can probably kind of move over to here a little bit, so that Hobbs has sort of the inside and the around throwing lane. So I don't like to be super prescriptive about where to set up as a handler, but this is kind of like the only no-go spot. 45 back is fine back here. Straight back is fine. That's how Brute runs their jump system. And, back on the open side is totally kosher too. Here's a good example of sort of how we can get our own way in host stack, although it looks really, really similar to how we can do it in vert stack. So that pole's coming down. So Connor really didn't look to the break side there, but even if he had, it would have been pretty tough. So Connor, when he gets the disc, I think Jake over here was in the process of kind of pushing forward, expecting that he might become a cutter, and then we realized that that they're not going to become a cutter, and Jake's actually ended up staying. But right now, Connor basically has no around throwing lane, right? That's going to get blocked by James. He's like all up in this space. We don't necessarily have a cut that's going there right this moment, but I think as a team, we just want to do our best to not get in our own way, particularly with handler spacing.